Hi everyone, I'm Melissa, and today I'm excited to share with you a Story Popsicle Original Story called Witch Germina. Here we go. Once upon a time, there lived a witch like no other. Her name was Witch Germina. She was a most unusual witch. She didn't wear the typical witch uniform. She didn't cast the typical witch spells. And she certainly didn't think like any other witch that has ever lived. You see, Witch Germina was afraid of germs. Coughs, sneezes, and sniffles petrified her. As a result, her uniform, spells, and thoughts reflected this most unusual fear. She wore gloves from fingertips to elbows. That way, her hands were never exposed to anything dirty. She had an odd fear of triangles. Therefore, instead of wearing a typical pointy witch hat, she wore a baseball hat with a saying, "Germ-free is the way to be," embroidered on the front. Because she was afraid of heights, she rode a motorcycle instead of riding a broomstick. Her pet was also a unique choice for a witch, as she was allergic to cats. She had a dog named Sneezels. She was named this way because she sneezed so often. As it turned out, Sneezels had many allergies. But Witch Germina was never afraid of dog germs. The thing Witch Germina was even more afraid of than germs? Children! For children are the source of all germs. According to Witch Germina, even their giggles frightened her. Why was Witch Germina so afraid of germs, you ask? Well, when she was a child, she grew up in a big city, where she would constantly hear the chorus of children coughing, sneezing, sniffling, blowing their noses, and wiping their noses with their shirts. Her mother repeatedly told her to stay away from the children who had colds, as they would give her the most terrible germs that would make her feel weak and unwell. Witch Germina took this advice literally, and thought if she would catch a cold, it would weaken her for life. And she would be a weak witch with weak powers and weak confidence. From then on, she would keep her eyes and ears open to the sounds and visual cues of common colds and flus. Sadly, this meant she didn't have very many friends, especially in the winter seasons when colds were more abundant. For she would develop friendships in the summer months when the children around her were mostly healthy. But when winter came around, she rejected friendships left and right until she spent most of her time alone in her room. As Witch Germina grew up, she found ways to use her fear of germs for good, or at least she thought it was for good. Most witches she knew would cast spells turning humans into frogs, or brew witch stews into poisonous potions. Witch Germina, instead, had a cauldron filled with a most magnificent formula of hand sanitizer. One that not only kept your hands clean, but also nicely moisturized. She was very proud of her original formula, and instead of casting evil spells, Witch Germina would say, "Ibbly bibbly bop, make that nasty cold stop!" And she would spray hand sanitizer into the unsuspecting hands of anyone showing any sign of a cold. It received varied responses from folks. Some thought perhaps they didn't dry their hands enough after using the restroom. Others thought a bird may have gone to the bathroom on their hands. And some thought it came from excessive sweat. Whatever the response, most recipients were perplexed by what had just happened. Witch Germina was delighted, sharing health to all those around her. She wanted to strengthen the world. Witch Germina was part of a very special witch organization called Witches for Well-Being, Not Wicked Spell Spraying, which encouraged witches to cast healthy spells on others, instead of using their magic to cast mean spells. She was the group's president, financial officer, secretary, recruiter, and, well, its only member. The problem was, anytime a witch tried to join, she didn't last very long as a member. Witch Tallulah once tried to join, but she immediately had to leave the group because she sneezed. Once. And that was unacceptable for Witch Germina. Witch Zinnia tried to join, but she was allergic to dogs. And, well, that didn't work out with Witch Germina owning Sneezels. Witch Locksley lasted the longest in the organization. She was part of it for 3 whole days. But when Witch Germina found out that Witch Locksley was also a school teacher, she immediately told her she must leave the group, as she was in much too close of contact with children, and thus she could spread germs to the group. Witch Germina really did make an effort to add members to her organization, but she didn't have much luck with actually keeping them once there. One day, Witch Germina heard a group of witches talking about this fabulous new movie that was only playing in the movie theaters. It was a movie about a deliciously wicked witch, her sparkly witch sister, a lost girl, a cowardly lion, a silly scarecrow, a heartless tin man, and most importantly to Witch Germina, a little dog named Toto, which happened to be the same exact dog breed as her most beloved little Sneasels.
I must see this movie.
However, in order for Witch Germina to see the movie, she had to move past her fear of catching a cold.
Oh, how will I do this? There will surely be children everywhere in the theater. I can't do this. Ooh, but I want to see Toto so badly. No, this is a terrible idea, Germina. But wouldn't it be glorious to be in a real movie theater with real movie theater popcorn and real movie theater candy?
Come to your senses. You will catch a cold. Oh, I have to do it. She was determined to see the movie, which, as you may have guessed, was The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. So she opened up her Witch newspaper to find the playing time of the movie at the movie theater. She then prepared herself with long gloves, germ-free is the way to be baseball hat, hopped on her motorcycle with little Sneasels, and a box of tissues for her too, as poor Sneasels did have such terrible allergies. Put a helmet on both and arrived at the movie theater. They mysteriously walked in, bought their tickets, purchased some freshly popped popcorn, and a box of these unusual little chocolates coated with a candy shell painted in all sorts of glorious colors. She had never seen any candy like this before and was so excited for her new discovery. When she arrived at the door to the actual movie theater, she paused in hesitation, doubting her decision, but ultimately made it through the door when she saw a peek of the enormous screen ahead of her. As she walked in, she didn't hear the sounds of the children coughing as she walked past them. She didn't hear the sounds of parents sneezing in the seats next to her. She didn't hear the sounds of toddlers blowing their noses on their shirts. Instead, she was mesmerized by the sound coming through the walls of the theater, the magic of the film before her, and the delicious taste of the movie theater concessions she had purchased. She knew at that point that her world was changed forever. When the movie ended, she sat at her seat in tears of utter happiness and joy, and clapped as the closing credits rolled. Even Sneasels jumped up and down and wagged her tail with happiness.
Oh, yes, 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 Sneasels! That was magnificently magical!
Witch Germina overcame her greatest fear and had the most extraordinary experience of her existence, which says a lot, as witches can experience some pretty magical things with the tap of a wand. For days after watching the movie, Witch Germina glowed with joyousness. That was until day 3, when Witch Germina experienced something very unusual. A drip came down her left nostril, then another on her right. Then she did something she had never, ever done before. She sneezed.
No, this can't be happening. It's not possible. I was so careful. I've always been so careful. Now I will never be the same. Oh.
That's right. Witch Germina had caught a cold. She was overcome with all kinds of emotions: panic, fear, sadness, anger. For as you recall, a cold to her meant weakness forever. She was not prepared for that, especially with this newfound love for films. How would she ever get to visit a theater again if she were too weak to get there? Oh, how would she care for her little Sneasels? Would she have to give her up? All these thoughts were much too much for witch Germina to handle. She took one of the tissues from Sneasel's tissue box and blew her nose. Well, she tried to. It's actually quite tricky if you've never blown your nose before and have to try it for the very first time. But by tissue number 13, she had gotten the hang of it. She then went to her bed and laid down. She decided to go to sleep as it was getting late and her worrying was keeping her up way past her bedtime.
There's no use worrying anymore, as the weakness shall begin in the morning.
When she awoke, which was quite late in the morning, she made her way around the house, so saddened by her new weakness. She made her cup of cocoa like she normally does each morning, but this time with a mopey face. She prepared a meal for Sneasels, but with a side of sadness, and she eventually sat down to read the Witch News with a bit of bitterness. But then she realized something.
My nose isn't runny. My eyes aren't itchy. My sneezes have disappeared. And my cough is nothing but a I am cured! But am I weak? Let me see here. How about I lift up my little Sneasels?
She lifted up Sneasels with no problem at all.
Oh, my Sneasels, you are normally so light anyway. How about a few spell books? Jiminy, these spell books weigh as much as they normally do. Let's see. I must find a true test for my strength. Ibbly bibbly, I shall lift up my cauldron.
She tried to lift her cauldron, but then she realized she's never been able to lift it, so there was no use in trying to lift it at all.
I'm not weak! Oh, Sneasels! I'm the same witch I was before! But now, I have no reason to fear, as my cold did not cause me weakness.
Witch Germina rejoiced with happiness and danced around the house with her pup.
I am cured! I am free! Oh, Sneasels, look at me!
As soon as she truly realized what this meant, she was on her way to the movie theater again. Though this time, she left her gloves and germ-free hat at home. She went to the movie theater every day for 6 days straight and fell in love with the movies over and over and over again with each film. She eventually decided that she would shut down her
Witches for well-being, not wicked spell springing
organization and focused her energy and attention on becoming a screenwriter, someone who would write stories for films. She had all kinds of ideas in her head and couldn't wait to get them on paper. Witch Germina became the most well-loved screenwriter of her time, with her most famous film being about a little witch who was afraid of germs, but in time overcame her fears and learned to live her best life. It was called
Germs, a tiny obstacle of life.
She was especially proud of this film, and Sneasels was just as proud of her too. The end. Well, everyone, we have a very special surprise for you today. Can you guess what that is? Have you figured it out? It's Witch Germina and Sneasels!
Hello, children.
Hi, Witch Germina. Welcome to the studio. Oh, Sneasels, you are precious. Oh, you love to lick, don't you?
Oh, Sneasels, please stop licking the pretty lady.
How are you doing, Witch Germina?
Oh, I'm quite all right. I've just released my latest film, A Treasured Terrier, about a dog who has superhero powers and saves the world one paw at a time. It was inspired by my little Sneasels. Did you know that one time he saved a little old lady crossing the street? The heel of her shoe got stuck in a grate, and my little Sneasels ran out there without any suggestion from my part and not only saved the little old lady, but also saved her shoe. The heel went unscathed.
Bravo, Sneasels. We would love to hear more about you.
Oh, go ahead and ask her. She's an open spell book.
Okay, How old are you, Sneezels?
Go ahead, Sneezels. I will translate for you. That means she is 6 years old in dog years. Coincidentally, her birthday is October 31st, the day of Halloween. She was certainly meant for a witch.
Let's see. What kinds of foods do you like to eat?
She likes my special beef stew, deviled eggs, and cauldron cupcakes for a tasty treat.
How did you meet each other?
We serendipitously met when I heard my neighbor, Witch Wichita, screaming for her dear life from her house. I was so worried about her, I immediately ran over. What I found was a sweet little pup sitting on her front steps. I thought perhaps the puppy had bitten Witch Wichita or attacked one of her 10 black cats. But she had done none of those things. Instead, I learned that Witch Wichita was fiercely afraid of dogs, so I decided to take Sneezels. She looked like she needed a home, and I wished for a pet too. We immediately became the best of friends. My little inspiration. Oh, Gibbly Bibbly! Speaking of best of friends, I now have so many lovely friends. And we happen to be on our way to the annual Witches Wonderland Gala that starts soon. We're afraid we must go now.
Oh, no worries, Witch Germina. We appreciate the time you spent with us today and wish you the best of luck with your future films.
Oh, thank you, my dear.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed this Story Popsicle original story of Witch Germina.